Come to me, tea. Tea in hand. Anime April is upon us. One of my favorite times of the year.
Hej.
Mm-hmm.
Så this, ne?
Shall we?
Hej.
To Anime April.
Woohoo!
Here we go, guys. How is everybody doing? Welcome back to the General Geekery podcast. This is the podcast, of course, where we geek out about all that we love to geek out about with no remorse, no regrets, and with all of the enthusiasm in the world.
Doo-doo-doo.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. And welcome to the very first installment of Anime April 2021.
Yes!
If you guys had listened to our previous episodes last year around Anime April, what we do is we choose different anime shows that we wish to talk about, or series, and we bring them to the table, discuss about them, what intrigued us about them, and how we love it. And for the first time, we are going to be doing a viewer's choice selection as well. Make sure to follow us on all of our social media accounts on Twitter and Facebook at Gen Geek Podcast, and on Instagram at General Geekery to figure out how you can influence the viewer's choice episode.
And on the Patreon as well.
And on the Patreon as well at General Geekery. That's patreon.com/General Geekery. Thank you.
I'm going to write some content for that.
We'll figure it out.
It's been a while.
Indeed it has. We'll figure it out together, I promise.
We'll figure it out.
As always, it is I, your resident coffee ninja by day, actor, gamer, and streamer by night, Donald Kozinski. Joining me, as always, she is the artiste extraordinaire, dice slinger magnificent, the one, the only, Hannah Kubiak.
It's me!
Yes! And, so, for today's episode, we are going to be talking about an anime series that, I picked.
Yep.
For Anime April. And, it's actually one that I'm showing to my, community on my personal Discord server, which I do for all my streaming and stuff. It is a series of animated films from 2007 to 2000, the recent one being released in 2013.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It is known as Kara No Kyoukai, or by its English title, The Garden of Sinners. One of my favorite animated film series of all time.
What was the Japanese name again?
Kara No Kyoukai. K-A-R-A.
Kara?
Yep.
Kara no Kyoukai?
Kara.
Kara.
Yeah.
It should be
Kara. Yeah, Kara. I mispronounced
I took Japanese in high school.
That's fair. I pronounced it wrong. Shame on me. Yeah, Kara no Kyoukai.
Kara. Mm-hmm. What does that mean? It means like the boundary of emptiness or something.
Yeah.
I don't know Japanese that well. I was just looking at the Wikipedia. That's how I know. Right?
Understandable.
That's a pretty interesting title, which I guess we'll talk about.
Indeed. So I was first introduced to this series through my friends, actually. So the Garden of Sinners series is actually an entry that is linked in with several other different anime titles in series, all created by the mind of one individual. So to talk about this, first I have to mention this man, Kinoko Nasu. He is a Japanese author who originally wrote the original stories for Kara No Kyoukai. Actually, the Kara No Kyoukai light novel series was actually one of the first series that he ever wrote.
Yeah.
Some people...
Kinoko
Nasu.
Nasu.
Many people will actually note his more famous entries, that being the Fate series. Fate Stay Night, Fate Zero, Fate Apocrypha, all that stuff. He's more influential with that. But he has also done other titles as well, and all of them are inextricably linked through his themes and his world building into this entire inner universe that has been dubbed the Nasuverse by fans.
The Nasuverse.
Yep.
Okay.
It's an entire universe that revolves around the same kind of ideology, themes, laws, and character. Not characters, but you know what I mean.
Like the mind and the soul and personalities and consciousness.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, yeah.
And Garden of Sinners was his first works into building like the early building blocks of how this world would be structured. So, the Garden of Sinners series takes place in the late 1990s, 98.
It's like 95 is when
Yep,
the earliest episode takes place.
Yep, the earliest timeline is in around 1995, and then we fast forward to about 1990.
1998.
Yeah, 1998. So, yeah, so 98, 99 is like around that time frame that we're working with.
That's the main time, and then occasionally they'll flash back to 95, 96.
So, the series of movies itself was originally released. The first film, Overlooking View, was released in 2007, and all of the films in this series were animated by Ufotable, which many people will note this particular animation studio also doing animation for the Fate series in the 2010s. So they are inextricably linked to Nasu's works. Which is kind of hilarious, like, in hindsight. But this was really the first of the works that they had worked on. And they were working on, like, a smaller budget than they would for, like, later on it. And looking at the first film that they did, Overlooking View, like, wow, it's... The animation in these films are stellar.
Yeah, I want to talk about the animation a little bit, actually, because this show took its damn time, honestly. Like, you'd have... it contains what we in the theater call a dramatic pause. But it's more of like it's not a pause that has no meaning. It's not like a I don't know what I'm doing thing, but it's a I'm thinking pause, sort of. Like a couple of times, like there'd be conversations with people, and then it would just be completely still for like a couple seconds, and I'd kind of like look a bit. Did I pause it by accident? And then the character will blink or something. I'm like, oh my gosh! Like I thought they died.
I think one of the best scenes about that is the apartment scene with Shiki just with one arm trying to eat the Haagen-Dazs.
Oh yeah.
I like you're explaining that, and that scene is the one that sticks out the most in my mind.
Yeah. Yeah, just like the focus on little details and like mundane stuff, but somehow it's really beautiful.
Yeah.
And like the episode, it's episode 8 called Epilogue. With the snow falling over the cityscape the whole time. Oh yes. Like everything is still except for the snow falling, and then there's all these beautiful colors, and her kimono is so gorgeous and stuff. I couldn't really understand what they were talking about most of the time, because she was talking about like sort of like the soul and the mind and the body and the consciousness and personality and stuff. But the snow was really mesmerizing. Maybe I just didn't really get what she was talking about earlier, because it was kind of a culmination of a lot of different themes, it seemed like. But it was really beautiful, actually.
Yeah, the series... It's interesting to digest on like your first like go through. It's only when you like start rewatching it where you understand certain things in mind, and then you see some like the truth hidden within, like, some of the actions and some of the underlying themes, now that you're, like, paying attention to small little story beats.
Yeah, like, there'll be something that happens, like, the whole thing from episode 2, what was it called?
Study of Murder Part 1?
Study of Murder Part 1, yeah, when they were when they were basically kids at school together.
Which is the first entry in the timeline.
Chronologically, it is the earliest. So it's sort of about when they meet Shiki and Mikia, who's this, like, cute little nerdy guy. Oh my gosh! Anyway. He enchanted me in his simplicity.
He's great.
Yeah, but they meet, and he starts to realize there's something up with her. But the thing I was talking about was the stuff with the beats and everything. Like, you know how she basically, like, she was about to kill him, and then the next thing we see is her being taken to the hospital with, like, severe injuries, and he's, like, in the ambulance with her and stuff, which I find just fascinating. You're like, yeah, you tried to kill me, but we're still friends. I still love you. And you kind of piece by piece get that information about what happened to cause her to be in that state and to, like, be in that coma and everything.
Right. We actually haven't talked about the characters, because there's 3 that we really need to mention. Like, there's 3 key players that are always a constant, like, within these movies. First off, you've got our male protagonist, Kokoto Mikia, who is so he is a high school student at the start of it, who first comes across our female protag, who I will mention in just a second. And he gets swept up in this world of paranormal and magical kind of coincidences as he grows up after an accident which caused our female protagonist to basically end up in a coma. And he cares a lot for her.
Yeah, like, he visits her every week.
Every single week, he brings flowers. The nurses comment on it.
It's like, they're like, oh yeah, Mr. Puppy.
And he pretty much, and he's basically the anchor for her. He's like the human element for our female protagonist, which I will now talk about. One of my favorite female characters in fiction, Ryogi Shiki. I cannot talk enough about how much I love this character.
Talk a little bit about it.
I will try. So she's raised in a house of a clan. She is part of the Ryogi clan. She is the second child, but she has inherited the mantle of heir to the clan due to a it's like a ritualistic kind of thing with their clan, where the head of the house develops a dual personality, not like a Jekyll and Hyde kind of thing, but both are conscious of the other and both work in harmony.
The head of the house develops a dual personality.
It's almost like a ritualistic, like, at birth kind of thing. I don't remember them going into much detail.
Did she inherit because she had that?
Yeah, because as we see in the second film, film of the series, the second film released being the first film chronologically in, like, chronological order of the series, she has 2 different sides of her. One, which is her female side, which is Shiki, which is the one that Mikia originally meets, and then you have the male side of the personality, Shiki, in all capital letters.
Yep.
In order to differentiate it.
Shiki.
And it's very hard for people watching this original series, because, okay, this series, there is no English dub of this series.
Yeah, so
it's only in Japanese. So if you're not used to watching anime in its original form with in Japanese, and you're not used with speaking mannerisms of the Japanese language,
Yeah, it was pronounced differently.
Yeah, they refer to themselves using different honorifics, and the tone of each of the personalities was different as well. Mm-hmm. So that was interesting on that. And her family were traditionally demon hunters. Mm-hmm. So there was always an aspect of them, like they need a personality with them in order to be able to kill.
Yeah. Which
is where the male personality came with Shiki. Mm-hmm. So basically she ended up in an accident, following a specific event. I'm not trying to go into too much with like plot on this because we really want you guys to watch this. And she basically ends up in a coma for 2 years. Yeah. And upon waking up, because of her near-death experience, she has gained a paranormal magical ability known as the mystic eyes of death perception.
So cool!
She is able to see the threads that hold up the life of any kind of organism or conception, whether it be
like the cracks in
the cracks in what makes something like. Yep. And she has put it in her own words that with this power she could even kill a god. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Which, honestly, yeah.
Yeah.
And she's basically employed as like a freelance hand for the third main person in her play. Mm-hmm. Freaking, oh my god. I love her and I forget her name. Oh wait, hold on. Okay.
Toko Aozaki. Right?
Yep.
Toko?
Yep, Toko Aozaki. The puppet maker herself. She is a mage. She is a person who studied magic in London via the Mages Association, which is an organization that is brought up constantly throughout all of Nasu's works.
Yep.
It is one of the biggest governing bodies of magic and sorcery throughout the Nasuverse. And she is a member of that world, that society.
Everybody else who came out of that school apparently is like has some notion that they're like a Batman villain, but
there are worse ones.
They're just so extra.
They really are.
Mages who show up. Like the one who like
the one with the red top hat.
Yeah, the one with the red top hat, and then the other one who lives in the walls of that condo and just kind of like.
Yep.
Like he sticks his head out of the wall. I liked it was like one moment where he like showed up and Toko without even looking at him just said like she said like, oh, being a peeping Tom, that's creepy.
I love her so much.
Yeah.
So she basically runs a detective like a paranormal detective like agency. Yes. Kara No Do is the name of the agency. Okay. Where she has employed both Mikia and Shiki. Mm-hmm. And basically it's just them cracking different cases of things happening, which we see in movies 1, 3, and 5 onwards.
5, 6, 7, I guess. Yeah, 7.
Yeah, 7 would count in that.
Yeah. I guess the flashbacks and the epilogue and whatever else there is that I haven't seen yet is different.
You've gone through like the bread and butter of it, which is important. Which is important. Like you did all of the main stuff.
Yeah, it seems to be slowing down by the time I got to epilogue. But
So like we said, the movies how they were released in like how they were released from the first film to like the last one, they were not released in like chronological order of the series. Mm-hmm. So first timers watching this are going to be kind of confused. So
I definitely was.
So I'll make this a little bit easier for those of you listening in. Chronologically, if you want to see the story from its start to its finish, movie 2 would be the start, followed by movie 4, then movie 3, and then movie 1. And then 5 and onwards is pretty much in order by that point, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So, there you go. You're welcome.
2, 4, 3. Yeah, that sounds right.
So, what drew me to this series, like, initially, like, if you guys have listened to like the previous Anime April, you all will know like I love like paranormal elements and taboo like topics in anime sometimes when they tackle it.
Like cannibalism?
Maybe not like that.
Oh.
But, I mean, like, considering my choices from last year being Angel Beats and Death Parade, everybody will know, like, I'm all about, like, the otherworldly, mystical type of, like, stuff you can bring with this. And Kara No Kyoukai follows a lot of different topics that can be very graphic. With the paranormal, it tackles mature themes such as suicide, rape, patricide, incest, and murder. And,
with murder being the least horrifying, honestly.
Kind of true.
Yeah.
Kind of true.
Like, no, at certain points, I was kind of like, what the hell am I watching? Like,
yeah, I literally...
It would pay off, though. It would sort of be like okay. You know,
I knew it was going to pay off for you. Like, the big thing that was going to... Like, maybe this might not be the best idea. I knew there were a couple of parts in movie 3, especially, that is hard to sit through.
Yeah, that's the one that I was thinking of.
The
one that's about Fujino Asagami?
Asagami Fujino. All right, we'll go through each of the films by thing. We've gone through the second one, which was about how they met. Movie 1 follows a case about these suicides of young high school girls that are not seemingly connected, but we find out is being influenced by some kind of like paranormal force.
Yep. What I want to know is why they didn't, like, place, like, actual people around the building to make sure that people didn't wander in and jump off the roof. Because it was like, and there's another suicide at this building. You're like, I know it's condemned and there's, like, do not cross tape and stuff, but that's not going to stop people who are bewitched or not in their right mind. I don't understand it. I don't know why they...
I mean that is a genuine kind of plot hole, but at the same time, like, it's not like they were all like jumping off of like the same place, though. So.
They weren't? I thought they were all jumping off the same building.
Not to my knowledge. I have to relook at that just to make sure.
I think it was the same building. It was.
But basically, they find the perpetrator behind it, and basically her reasoning being. Basically out of, like, affection and love and things like that.
Like loneliness?
Yeah.
Maybe?
Yeah, loneliness, because she was basically trapped. And she needed to fly. So, basically, with prodding from freaking Toko, thanks Toko, she decided to fly off of the building to try to see if she could fly. Which, honestly, if you actually look back on that...
That was the first shot, right?
That was the first shot from, like, the opening, like, when the credits started playing. I'm glad you picked up on that.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the
the opening.
The first shot was actually the last shot.
The opening to that film is one of my favorite openings in film. I love it.
Oh gosh.
Because it mirrors everything that follows with like the story of like the butterfly and the dragonfly, which Mikia then reiterates at the end, which is like you've basically paraphrased this entire 45-minute film into that one sentence. Well done.
Yeah.
Well done.
Being able to float and being able to fly. Yeah.
And then movie 3, this one was, I had to pause this film a few times when I first watched it, but on going back on it actually was not as gruesome as I remember. I mean, it's still trigger warning for movie 3, guys. I must say that with utmost truth.
Yep.
Remaining Sense of Pain introduces the character of Asagami Fujino, who has another mystic eye power similar to Shiki's, only she's able to warp space in a field of vision that she sees. Yeah. And through some machinations that were done on her early in her life, she did not have any sense of pain.
Yeah, she couldn't feel pain.
She couldn't feel pain. She didn't understand it.
Yeah, so that there were some, like... Yeah, on all these guys who had basically assaulted her, like, maybe a couple of times even.
Yeah, she...
ended up, like, showing up dead. And one of them who had survived was, like, terrified that she was going to find him, and
who ended up being a former classmate of Mikia, and he's hearing all this. He's like, I really just want you to shut up.
Yep, yeah, just stop telling me about your about what you do with your friends, you piece of shit.
Oh, to be fair, I'm kind of glad that they don't hold back. Like they show enough, but they are smart enough not to like to showcase like the gruesomeness of all this and just how like unnerving it is. Not just because of like the thing itself, but the fact that like she was not responding,
just like completely apathetic.
Yeah, completely apathetic to it. It was just so otherworldly. It's just like, what the hell?
Yeah.
And then as everything unfolds,
like they said, like her all her reactions were delayed, like she was acting, and she didn't really care. She just like.
And then they hit her in the back. And then they hit her in the back with a baseball bat, which brought back her sense of pain, and she went insane.
Yep. She went insane
because she kept feeling this pain inside that would not go away. She didn't understand why. It turns out that she had ruptured appendicitis that was killing her, and she didn't even know it.
Chronic appendicitis. That's right. Yeah.
She couldn't understand.
Yeah. I think that was really. Yeah, just like how people start to react to pain with apathy, you know? Just like the scene where Mikia finds her and she's asking, is it all right for me to cry? And like,
oh, in the opening scene, yeah.
Oh my gosh, honey.
We all say for that movie, she is just a child. She must be protected at all cost.
Yeah.
Leave her alone.
Yeah. He lets her stay at his place, and he sleeps on the floor
like a gentleman.
And then State Farm is there.
And then she goes to have tea and cookies with his sister, and then she goes on a murder spree. Yep.
That's what you do after you have tea with someone's sister.
Which I do have to say, the twisting of the guy's legs and him just
oh my gosh, that was gruesome. It was kind of like. Oh, that's my work calling. They can call me later.
Indeed. Sorry, I didn't mean to sound like that.
But the like twisting of the limbs and stuff, like, oh, so gruesome. And I noticed that in a lot of the episodes, there's sort of this theme of like people don't just get killed; they get like torn apart, basically, like dismembered. There's sort of like there's this whole theme of like you got Toko with her puppet stuff, and like a lot of like I don't remember which episode it was in, but somebody talked about people's bodies as like containers. Not so much. Yeah.
That was episode 5, I think.
Oh, yeah. Like, bodies are containers.
Yeah, that was movie 5.
And so, there's a lot of, like, dismemberment, disrespect for like, dead bodies. Like, somebody later on, what was his name? Shirazumi? He would eat the people that he killed.
Oh, yeah.
Like, just tuck into their flesh. Right there in the street. Like... Yeah, just gross.
Yeah. This series goes into some dark places. And I appreciate it.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Then we get into, following movie 3, we go to movie 4, which is basically the aftermath of Shiki's coma and her trying to deal with everything, because as a part of, like, her waking up from the coma, she basically lost Shiki, the male half.
Yeah,
like
the side that...
Basically, the killing instinct of it, that seemingly...
Killing side, yeah.
Well, they both have, like, the killing edge, but, like, Shiki, the male side, was more open, like, about it. Shiki. Was, like, more open about that. And, like, they follow that very interestingly. Like, the aftermath of her... Because, she basically lost, like, a big portion of her identity. And then awakening to this... power that she doesn't understand and that she's terrified of. Like, she basically tried to make herself go blind. Like, immediately afterwards, she started almost gouging her eyes out.
Yep, yeah. She just didn't understand what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There's this whole thing about, from the very first episode, people describe Shiki as being like, being empty, being an empty thing, or that her heart is empty. What was really interesting for somebody who has like dual personalities and stuff to be described as empty, because you would think that we would consider that state of mind to be too crowded, you know, but right. Yeah, there's even a puppet at Toko's workshop that looks an awful lot like her.
Which is basically what brought Mikia to be working for her in the first place.
Yeah, because he just didn't he just see the puppet and walked in and was like, I would like a job, please.
Something like that,
Like something random and weird like that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that episode 4, is actually called The Hollow Shrine.
Yep.
Which is interesting to me. But yeah, I love that theme as it goes through.
Yeah, so basically, according to the character description, like the dual personality is basically like represented by the yin yang.
Yin and yang. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the yin and the yang personality of Buddhism. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which would probably bring us to episode 5, right? Paradox.
Oh my god, I love this one.
That one confused me so much.
This is probably, in my opinion, probably the best film. First of all, it's like the first like feature-length film.
Yeah, it was like an hour and a half.
Yeah, of all of them. So this one was really big to sit through, and they went balls to the walls with the animation. First of all, we get introduced to a character by the name of Tomoe Enjo, who, he was a fan favorite of this entire franchise.
Yeah,
Shiki's voice actress in the movie. And also the composer for like the entire soundtrack of Kara No Kyoukai, Yuki Kadra, has named Tomoe Enjo as like one of their favorite characters of all time.
Aww.
So because they had read the original light novel series that Nasu made, and they were excited to see how they were going to adapt it for animation. And he's so different than anybody else like in these films, because everybody else speaks with a kind of like monotone. Not monotone-esque, but like this is completely normal, like everyday thing.
Yeah.
Tuned to the paranormal around them. But then you got Enjo, who all these flashbacks in his mind. Of, okay, we should probably
go. He's so freaked out the whole time.
Pretty much. So basically, the film. Starting off with Enjo, like apparently he had just killed his family and ran away from it all. But as time passes, nobody has reported on it. Like,
their deaths haven't been reported at all.
At all.
It's like it never happened.
So something is off. And he's basically harbored by Shiki for a time. And of course he gains a fondness for her because I mean, it's Shiki. She's so aloof and everything like that. Like,
yeah. I don't know what it is about aloofness, but it's just a magnet.
Well, I mean, they kind of do follow that a little bit. Like in a society like Japan, where it's just so work-focused and like one-track mind, like you can do hobbies and stuff and everything like that, but everything is just so work-centric that like any kind of, and you have to behave a certain way, and any deviation from that is looked at as weird or not accepted.
Yep. Lots of customs and etiquette traditions.
Exactly. So yeah, Shiki definitely breaks away from the norm in that regard. But with movie 5, we are introduced to like the main setting of it. It's this apartment complex that Miki's family lived in, and apparently his family is still like alive and things like that. But it's soon discovered that like their day of death is like played out on like repeat every single day, one day after the other.
The condo is stuck in a time loop.
Yeah.
And then what was that about? I was trying to figure it out because this was fascinating and confusing to me. The way that the condo is built, like it's a circle.
Yeah.
It's like a pillar, a column, and then it's got two wings.
Yeah.
And the elevator is in the very middle, and the elevator kind of corkscrews as it goes up. Is that right?
Yep.
Because the elevator is a circle.
Yes.
It's like circular, and so it corkscrews as you go up.
Yep. Unbeknownst to the people that were living there, they had no idea. And because basically this entire... because you take... The elevator didn't start working until like a month after they were there, so people taking the stairs, what they find out, Toko and Mikia, yep,
they find out that the elevator goes one floor at a time, but the staircase skips a floor. So when you go up a staircase, you go from the 4th to the 6th floor. Mm-hmm. So from the 4th floor by the stairs, you can't get to the 5th floor.
Yeah, it's maddening. It's completely.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So when they take the elevator to the 5th floor, when you take the elevator to when you walk up the stairs to the 5th floor.
Yep.
What you think is the 5th floor, it's actually the 10th floor.
Pretty much,
right?
Yeah.
Okay, I just understood it for myself. There we go.
Yeah, pretty much.
Then if you get in the elevator, it's like,
yep.
Wait, you're on the 10th floor, and it's all goofy. So they think that they live on the 5th floor, but they actually live on the 10th floor.
Yeah, and this entire facility was designed by another Magus by the name of Arya Soren.
Yeah, by a nutcase.
He had a Magus who has basically been alive for 200 years or so.
Mm-hmm, yeah, he did boast about that.
Yeah, he did boast about that, and is basically trying to, in his word, using this as like an experiment to try to figure out to reach the root. The root being
the spiral of radix or something.
That is basically that's basically the root.
Okay.
Now, in the terms of the Nasuverse, I'll explain this to you because this is entirely confusing. The root is basically the binding of all things on the surface of reality itself. So everything,
like the Force.
Kind of. Basically, everything that makes the world as it is, like the rudimentary functions of like every single form of life and all that.
So like natural law.
Yeah. It's basically the natural order
like
of
gravity.
Yeah. In a simple term, yeah, that. Mm-hmm. Maybe not exactly in that simple term. I'm pretty sure there's a couple of people that know the Nasuverse probably much better than I do that will argue that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But to keep it short, sweet, and to the point, yes, that.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I can even bring it up right here.
Yeah.
Okay, the root is a metaphysical location within the Nasuverse that acts as the force that exists at the top of all theories in every dimension, as well as the source of all events and phenomena in the universe. So basically, it is basically the makeup of everything.
Okay, so like matter.
Yeah.
In general, okay.
Pretty much.
Cool. Is it just matter, or is it matter and the like rules that bind them together?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Got it.
Basically all of that.
Does it surround us and penetrate us?
Well, I mean, Shiki's able to use it. I mean, she's basically linked to it.
Mm-hmm. That's right, because her eyes see... Mm-hmm. Her eyes see how these things can be destroyed.
Yeah, she is directly linked to the root as opposed to others.
And if the root is about the makeup of everything... about how it's constructed and held together, then her eyes would tell her how to deconstruct it.
Yeah, movie 5 is a trip.
Oh yeah.
Movie 5 is a definite trip.
So many puppets.
So many theories, so many different scientific intricacies and like so many things that happen, but also
I want to build that building just to fuck with people.
Well, hopefully not enough to, like, lead them to, like, murder, suicide, and stuff like that.
No, I don't have that kind of power. I have the power for mild shenanigans at most.
Fair enough. I do have to say, like, the scene where they enter the apartment and basically the figures that represent Tomoe's parents, and they're basically seeing the last night all of them were alive, and you see the events play out.
Yeah.
And basically, they're watching everything. They don't even notice that they're there because due to some magic shenanigans, unless the doorbell is rung, they are not noticed. It's like a spell kind of thing.
It's a heck of a security flaw. All you have to do is be rude. Or like, yeah, that guy who broke in, the house...
Yeah, the homeless guy, yeah.
The homeless guy who broke in, he didn't knock, so he saw the... saw the dead people.
No, what he saw, what he saw was the original room.
Oh, right. Very first time.
Yeah,
they moved to a different apartment when the elevator started working because they got confused about which floor they were supposed to be on.
Yeah, exactly. It was like an entire different thing because basically they went into an entire different thing.
Wouldn't you, like, if you went to your room, your condo, and you were like, the furniture is different. This isn't my house.
But everything...
Or is it replicated because magic shenanigans?
That would freak me out, but at the same time...
Yeah, you were like, I'm sure this is my home. Where's my shit?
But like, if everything was the same, you barely notice it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then at that revelation of like everything that's happening, and all of the residents in the apartment have been dead for months, and they're basically just puppets being like,
puppets replaying.
Yeah, replaying the same day of their deaths, like every single like day.
Yeah.
For months.
Mm-hmm. That's ridiculous.
It is some mind warping crap.
Mm-hmm. Also, is it just me, or were there a couple of Die Hard references in there?
Oh, there definitely were.
Yeah,
there definitely were some Die Hard references.
I noticed the top hat guy. What's his name?
Hold on.
Cornelius or something.
Yep, Cornelius Elba.
Yeah, well, when he was chasing Mikia around the lobby, he was maniacally humming "Ode to Joy." So
that was hilarious.
When Shiki had her battle with Soren, who's this like sinister looking guy in this long black coat, and he like falls backward off of the roof of the building. And they're just falling for ages and ages and ages. And it was like the exact shot of Hans Gruber falling off.
Yep.
Like, I loved it. I love little Easter eggs like that.
Absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
And then following that is movie 6. And that one takes
this one was different.
Yeah, this one was definitely different. Because the juxtaposition of main protagonist switches over to... a character that had been shown here and there through the series, Kokuto Asuka, who is Mikia's younger sister.
Yeah.
And she is also taken under the wing of Toko Awazaki as a apprentice of magic.
Yeah.
And she's in love with her brother.
Yep, that too.
Yeah, this one... Yep, it's... for those not familiar with, like... this happens more often than I think some... realize for general viewers Japan, like the affection for like a older sibling or things like that, and it's always weird whenever something tackles this because there's always going to be that resistance, just like, oh god, why I think the deep dive of like what they did for this episode was okay though, so, because like it's just like, because it all revolved around Shiki. And, like, of course Shiki relies on Mikia, and Mikia has the thing for Shiki. They love each other. You know. Fun thing about that, the voice actors for both Mikia and Shiki are actually married in IRL.
Awesome.
They got married in 2011, and they've worked together as on various different, like, Nazi projects. So
that's awesome.
So so I guess it was fate. I guess.
Well, I mean, when you spend such a long time in a recording booth with somebody, you either kill them or fall in love with them. That's
bro. Why?
But yeah, that one was about Asuka's school, and there were fairies harvesting memories, and this mage, I think, named I want to pronounce it Godot, but I'm pretty sure it's Godot Word.
Okay.
Who is the... he can manipulate words. So, like, when Shiki is attacking him, he says, like, you can't see anything, and she couldn't. But, yeah, he said to her, like, she had forgotten everything that happened before her coma or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he said, like, the memory is within you even if you have forgotten, which is kind of interesting that, you know, I'm sure that everyone has certain habits, likes or dislikes, that's based on something that happened when you were too young to remember it. You know? So, like, you don't have to remember something for it to affect you, I guess, is the idea there. It kind of reminded me of, you know, in Doctor Who, when, what is it? Like, Amy forgets about Rory.
Oh yeah, when he's absorbed by the time crack.
Yeah, when he was absorbed. Yeah, when they get absorbed by the crack in the wall.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like crying. And she's like, "I'm sad. Why am I sad?" Which she couldn't remember. So that's kind of what that reminded me of.
Oof.
And then episode 7 was a trip, also.
Yeah, episode 7 is a difficult one to describe.
It's so weird. I watched that one today, so I'm just... Oh, man. And so this character, Shirazumi, he had his origin unlocked by Soren, right?
Yeah, basically.
And, like, when you know your origin, you can't fight your origin or something.
Yeah,
and his origin was to devour.
Mm-hmm.
Like, in his earliest past life, he was some sort of devouring beast or something like that.
All the noms.
Yep. Yeah.
But don't do these noms. This noms was human flesh.
Yeah, he noms on human flesh. Again, lots of dismemberment and disrespect for bodies.
And it also shows what happened, which caused Shiki to go into the coma back in. That was referenced back to like movie 2 and movie 4.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's tying a neat bow on all that, and then you have multiple. You have an epilogue movie that was released a few years after that in 2013, which ties up everything. And then you have several different like OVA animations as well, and can't emphasize enough. Go watch this, guys. I love this series, from the animation to the music. Oh my god, we haven't even talked about the music yet.
The music was reminiscent of Ghost in the Shell, honestly. It made me think of that. Like the music that would play when she like got into the zone with her eyes, and she was, you know, kicking ass, cutting off arms and stuff. Like, that music was kind of like the choral piece that came up.
Yeah.
It was just like this choir sort of.
You know what's actually kind of funny?
Yeah.
You know what's actually kind of funny? That's actually how I described like some of the music to some of my friends.
Yeah, like, it's like Ghost in the Shell.
Yeah, like it kind of reminds you of Ghost in the Shell a little bit.
Yeah.
So.
And again, I love just anime and like Japanese stuff in general. Just how well populated it is with like capable, intelligent women who do their own thing, sometimes to their own detriment. Like,
Nasuverse has plenty of that.
Like Shiki, yeah.
So
just
yeah,
like, no, don't go off on your own. Screw you. Hanging up the phone.
There we go. So yeah, the composer for Gesundheit. Gesundheit again.
Thank you. I usually only sneeze twice, so there you go.
Fair. So the composer for this series was Yuki Kajira. She is one of my favorite Japanese composers in the industry, and the band that she formed, Califina, which they also did the ending credit themes for each of the films.
Okay, yeah.
And she has worked on many different anime. She's worked on the Fate series. She's worked on Sword Art Online, Dot Hack, Madoka Magica, Gundam Seed, many different anime. So she has done many composers for more. This is some of my favorite work from her.
Yeah, it was good. I really like it.
So, I think that's pretty much all we could say. Any final thoughts on it? Well, we all know my thoughts because I've seen it before. Your final thoughts on it as someone who has seen it for the first time?
Super confusing, but don't let that get you down.
Fair enough.
Yep.
Absolutely fair enough. So, definite watch again?
Yeah, I think I'd have to watch it again to understand it better.
Yeah, fair enough.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
And just to be able to see, because I caught some things that were, like, referencing back to stuff from the beginning again, but I'm sure that I missed stuff.
Yeah, just imagine how confused some people might have been, like, upon original release of these films, because these films were released, like, months and months, like, even almost years apart.
Wow, yeah.
So, thankfully, you were able to, like, see it, like, back to back, but...
Yep. Binging as I do.
Just imagine, like, trying to wait, like, months for the next installment, just to be like, dang it!
Yeah, it was my entire weekend, was just sitting in the dark with beer and chips and ice cream, watching. Yeah. I am an avid sedentary being, so...
Solid.
I want you to add that to my introduction thing. Avid sedentary being.
Avid sedentary being.
Yeah.
Message me it later. I will
do.
memorize it and make it so.
Because dice slinger extraordinaire.
Artiste magnificent.
I have no control over what way the dice roll. You can't be good at slinging dice.
I mean, true.
Yeah. I mean, you could be good at RPG, I guess.
True.
It's not what you roll, it's what you make of the roll.
It's a work in progress. We'll figure it out.
I like to describe my nat ones the most, honestly.
Fair enough, because it's just like, okay, how do you explain an epic fail?
Yeah, exactly. Like, my favorite is, we like had started a new campaign with new characters, and I was playing this rogue, and so I'd never played a rogue before, and I was like, and they were like, "What do you do?" And I was like, Like, I go up to one of the other party members. I'm like, well, I'm going to try and pickpocket him. And I rolled a nat 1. And so the DM was like, okay, describe how you fail here. And I said, I think I just firmly grasped one of his ass cheeks for a second. And then and then it's an awkward moment.
You heard it here first, folks. So I think we'll wrap it up on that. Thank you guys.
I mean, yeah, I've mentioned ass cheeks, so we can...
Thank you guys so much for listening into this first edition of Anime April, talking all about Kara No Kyoukai, aka Garden of Sinners. If you guys want to watch the series, it is available on Crunchyroll, which is where we watched it for our talk through of this. So definitely go check it out at crunchyroll.com, Garden of Sinners.
Hell yeah.
And if you guys like what you guys have been listening to, make sure to follow us wherever we can be found. You can find us on Spotify, Spreaker, Apple Podcasts, and if you guys don't have access to any of those kind of streaming services, all episodes are uploaded to my personal YouTube channel at Anime Rev Productions. That is Anime Rev Productions on YouTube. And if you guys want to follow us on social media, like I said earlier on in the episode, you can check us out at General Geekery on Instagram and at Gen Geek Podcast on Facebook and Twitter. Also, if you want to support the show, make sure to donate to our Patreon at patreon.com/General Geekery, where you can get early access to all of our episodes before they go live on Fridays. And, of course, you can also have the chance to win some artwork from our artiste extraordinaire, Hannah Kubiak, and also a bunch of different things that we are planning in the future for the Patreon. So definitely go check that out and see what all that's about.
I'm trying to arrange to have merch sent to people who subscribe for a certain number of months.
That would be lovely.
I think your test subscription will actually be the first one to get to that milestone, so you could tell me how the merch looks.
Fair enough. All right, then. Hannah, where can they check you out at?
Well, you can find me rolling dice with my party every Monday at 7:30 Central at twitch.tv/loadeddiceadventures. I play Petra, the Dragonborn Ranger Rogue, as I travel with my party through the land of Avenaria. You can also follow me on Instagram if you want to. I am woefully absent. No, wait a minute. Woefully absent means I'm badly absent. So I am very good at being absent from Instagram recently, but nonetheless, ye may follow me if you wish at Pythian Legume.
That was hilarious. I'm sorry. I don't mean to laugh. That was just funny how that turned out.
No, when you say someone's woefully unprepared, that means unprepared in a particularly bad way. So yes, I am woefully absent, which means I'm particularly absent.
Oh.
I was right the first time.
Fair enough.
There we go.
Oh, and you guys can check me out on social media, on Twitter and Instagram at RyuzakiMK7. And you guys can also follow me on Twitch at RyuzakiMK7 as well. I play a majority of video games. A lot of them are RPG-based, but I also play other games as well. And I always love interacting with my chat room as well, so definitely go follow me on there. And I'm also planning some new stuff in the future for that, so...
It's fun to come and troll the chat.
Anytime. That is also the Twitch channel where we do our Inepticon series. Recently, we had Hannah on there playing... Marvel Spider-Man on PS4 for a Marvel March Madness edition of Inepticon, so definitely go check that out. Watch Hannah become Spider-Hannah. It was something. It was really something.
Yeah, it helps that I had actually, unbeknownst to you, played that game before, so got to
Well, things happen.
Yep.
Things do happen.
I'm gonna be like, wow, this comes so naturally to me. I can't believe it. The directions are so intuitive. The only thing I can't do is pause the game.
Well, when it comes to the point where that's your only issue, then we're on the right track.
Yep.
We'll make a gamer review yet.
Woo!
So, guys, thank you for listening in to our first edition of Anime April 2021, talking about Kara No Kyoukai, aka Garden of Sinners. This has been episode 74 of the General Geekery podcast. For Hannah Kubiak, I'm Donald Kaczynski, reaching for my coffee cup, stretching out like a cat. And until next time, guys, take care of yourself, drink lots of vitamin water, always order strawberry-flavored Haagen-Dazs, and always remember to keep your geek on.
Always.
Clink, clink.
Clink, clink.
Bye, everyone.